I can
Hey,
hear you now.
you can hear me. Cool, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good.
All right. So we just spoke on the Instagram. You just reached out to us. You just happened to catch me at a good time, and I've been figuring that it's a good idea for me to record these calls and make them
Yeah.
more profitable for everybody involved. And truthfully, I bet you'll get a more complete answer this way as well.
Hmm.
If I know it's going to be broadcast, we can cover it more fully. So you saw the list of questions that we gave you, right? You reached out, you said, hey, thank you for reaching out. Boom, this is how we would help you. This
Yeah.
list of questions, I've got them right here in front of me, so we can just rip through them. And I'll make points on why this is important for anybody who's listening. The only equipment that I have here is a clipboard with these questions written on it. I don't have a printout because we usually send this, electronically. It's much more
Hmm.
convenient that way. I have a pen in my hand. I have a copy of Dr. Wallach's Let's Play Doctor in front of me. I have my cell phone in front of me that I can use to Google anything just in case, right? This is all the tools. So you don't need a stethoscope. You don't need a hair analysis. You don't need a blood analysis.
Yeah.
We don't need any equipment here. I don't need to know, any personal details or anything like that, but we need to know the basics. Age, first of all, gives us a lot of context. What's your age?
20.
20 years old. On the
Yes.
on the Instagram by text, I would say, "Hey, good news. You're young." First good
Yeah.
point. No matter what, you're
Uh,
better off under the age of 40, let's say. But the younger, the better, very generally.
yeah.
What country are you in?
America.
That matters pretty much just for shipping. It does matter if somebody's in Mongolia. I'm going to speak to them differently than if they're in America, especially product-wise. Some of them could have some pretty serious problems. Speaking to a man in Iran yesterday with some pretty serious problems, and he's on a whole bunch of drugs, so they're still using the same medical system out there, the Western medical system, except he has a completely different access to a completely different
Hmm.
supplement market. This would also go for Germany. You can't ship supplements to Germany. You're kind of on your own in Germany unless you have access to a border country, and then even then it's expensive
Yeah,
and
yeah.
difficult. Turkey, same issue, but you're in America. Our products, Dr. Wallach's company that he started, is in America, in California, so
Hmm.
that's great.
Yeah, that's where I live, yeah.
Some states don't tax supplements, which is even better. We don't get paid extra commissions for the taxes that people pay here in the province of Ontario, Canada. 13% tax. That's just a markup for the customer, not for us. We don't
Oh,
profit
okay.
from that. So all
Yeah.
this factors into the sales process, what we're going to recommend, and understanding what kind of a purchase it is for you, especially if you're in a tax-free state in America versus, somebody in Indonesia or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
How tall are you?
6'2".
We're the same height. How much do you weigh?
210.
You are overweight. That right away. And
Well, does it matter that I work out a lot?
well, I worked out too. I was up to 260 pounds. I know that in the gym,
Yeah,
first of
yeah.
all, we suffer a lot of injuries. It's not like we're out there on the football field, but lots of wear and tear. It's really hard on the body. And for me,
Yeah.
I'm sitting at 160 right now. When I was 260, you can imagine that's, first of all, I started at 130. That's doubling the body weight. That's like wearing a 130-pound backpack.
Hmm.
Or now it's like wearing a 100-pound backpack on my skeletal frame. And it is a lot of weight, it's a lot of pressure, but also it takes a lot of food to get there. So even if you're
Yeah.
training, there's no way to do it. I don't care if you're vegan or carnivore or whatever. You have to eat a ton of food to get big, really. And so being 50 pounds, 40 pounds probably over your ideal, you could be chiseled out at 185, right? You've seen George
Is
St.
that
Pierre and
the
some of
is
these
that the
guys.
good weight level for my height?
Well, I would say so. I'm 165. I could probably go up another 10, 20,
Mm.
leg muscle mostly. It's not that hard to really fill out, and it's really easy to stay lean, when you're doing this
I just find
properly.
it hard to get below the 200 mark. I don't know why. It's probably because of the carbs,
It's
but
probably the food for sure. The food,
yeah, I
food and
never could get
nutrition.
under 200. The lowest I was 198 in the last like 3 years. I used to be 240, but I actually lost a lot of weight. But yeah, the lowest I've been in the last like 3 years is like 198, but I stay around 210.
Was that weight all for training?
When I weighed like 240 a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was really fat back then. I drank Pepsi every day.
Okay.
If I started realizing health more, and but what my health idea was just don't drink soda and just eat healthier. But there's obviously a lot more to it than that.
So yeah, absolutely, and definitely back to the gym world. I know that fitness and health are not the same thing, and a lot of us, I mean, people can die on the treadmill, that kind of thing, and
Hmm.
we know that's not the way to lose weight either. You don't really
Yeah,
lose weight by running it off. It's quite rare if that does actually happen. It's way more
yeah.
likely to be food factors, and we'll find them within here. So The next question is, do you have any organs removed or glands removed? Or have you
No,
had any
no.
surgeries?
I've had a surgery before when I was a child. I had an undescended testicle, and they had to like put it back in. I don't. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain it. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. By the way, that can
Yeah.
happen in adults too. It's actually quite
Yeah.
common.
Yeah.
It's one thing that guys don't want to talk about, but it's a mineral deficiency.
Yeah.
I suffered. You can say suffered. The word suffered. It's not suffering, but it's quite awkward actually.
No, I know what
And
you mean. Yeah.
it used to happen. Mineral deficiency, correct? That all the other problems went away at once as well. Obviously, that wasn't going to be something I was going to ask Dr. Wallach about either, but it does come up time to time. And in my personal life, I know it's actually far more common than people realize, and
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable. It's something, and it's a sign that other things are happening in the body. Of course, that deficiency, that's the calcium and its cofactor family of minerals and vitamins, and that specific deficiency has over 200 diseases specifically associated with it on the
Yeah,
physician's desk reference.
the doctors were saying I had like a 60% chance of getting testicular cancer, and that's like the number one indicator of that. But I don't know.
Well, I would say it could be likely because you're going to have increased circulation issue risk, right? The
Yeah.
testicle's not in its proper place. It's surrounded by veins. Veins feed it essentially, right? So any of that gets tangled up. Way more likely to have an issue with circulation, which of course any cancer is going to involve a circulation problem. At the end of it, it's going to involve some kind of a blood sugar problem. These are cellular problems, right? That do represent larger failures in the body, like digestion problems and nutrient deficiencies. So, by the way, I didn't give any disclaimer here, and it's worth mentioning that throughout this conversation, anybody can notice that we're not treating anything at all. Someone comes to us, we have to ask them what's going on. We have to ask, the next question is, what diagnosis do you have? Don't answer that yet, please.
Okay.
So we have to ask them what's going on, but we're not treating a problem, right? Someone comes to us with diabetes. We're not treating diabetes. That's what a diabetes drug is for. That's what a pharmaceutical drug is for. That's what a doctor does. You'll have to forgive me. I'm outside getting some sun, and the garbage truck is pulling up right now. It might be a little bit noisy, but we're not treating even people. I don't like the word treating. All we're doing is supporting and promoting the body's natural ability to maintain and repair itself. We're claiming that there's nothing special about the holistic approach. This is just a human body or an animal body is supposed to function more or less perfectly, which means more or less properly. Normal means perfect in the animal industries. We expect perfect births. We don't expect birth defects. We don't expect them to develop diseases. If they do develop diseases, we know that those follow predictable lines. We know the farmer didn't give the goat the selenium shot. That's why the baby goat had a deformity or something like that. It's all very straightforward. So that would be a disclaimer that would be necessary if this was a practice. You were coming in and paying for advice.
Yeah.
You're not paying for this call. No one pays for our advice on the Instagram either. If that were the case, we would have to have a pretty different business model because we would have to have legal liabilities in place. And for anybody trying to do this, that's all you really have to keep in mind. We're not telling people what to do for diabetes. We're explaining the blood sugar problem in that instance. We can explain that we solved this problem in animals. We cured this problem in animals. You're allowed to say cure with animals. We did that in 1957 with the addition of 2 trace minerals to their feed. Right? And human beings come in a bit more complicated, but we can give this kind of context. But at the end of the day, we're not treating whatever your diagnosis is. We're helping you get healthy under the assumption your body can defeat that, or your body can regenerate that or rebuild that. In most cases, some cases it's a birth defect, and that's why we ask these questions. So now you can tell me what your diagnosis, any symptoms that you have.
Well, I've been like about 2 years ago, I came up positive for HSV2, like herpes, like genital, and ever since I've been having like just random outbreaks like all the time. Not necessarily all the time. It's been getting less and less. Like the first time I got it, it was super bad. Like I just stuck in my bed for a week. And then ever since that first time, it's just been little ones that like come, like little outbreaks, but they're always just really just horrible. But they've gotten lessened over time. Like they're not as bad. But I've kind of noticed that I think caffeine triggers it, but I'm not even sure exactly what triggers it. I don't even know. I just don't know how to stop it, basically.
Okay. Any other diagnosis? Any other diseases? Any other symptoms?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm still going to move on to the rest of the questions before I address that at this point. The other stuff is just kind of basic, like, hey, it's good news, you're young, you tell a lot by the weight and the height of somebody, right? Sometimes you could see 240 pounds, that doesn't say much. There's people who are 6'7", you know. So
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to ask that height. Some people are 4'9", you know. I'm thinking like, oh, 160 pounds isn't that bad. Oh, wait a minute, they're 4'9".
Yeah, yeah.
So are you on any supplements or herbs currently?
No.
Notice the difference between supplements and herbs. Supplements are nutrition. These are things that your body uses to build its tissues or as cofactors within that. Herbs are medicines, essentially. There's medicinal compounds pretty much in every plant in the world, and they can be extracted somehow, sometimes just eaten, sometimes distilled in alcohol or water or ground up or whatever. But it is a medicinal versus nutritional distinction there, because people come to us often and they can be on a huge range of random things. And most of
Hmm.
the time, it's a bunch of herbs. They got a bunch of different herbal products, and they're great. They have different antioxidant products. They have different medicinal properties, but they don't have the quantity of the building blocks necessary to rebuild tissues. And in your case, you're dealing with an immune issue. There's a lot of actual physical stuff involved. There's physical cells, and there's obviously the movement of the entire body that feeds that whole process. And the immune system is the end result of the body's overall health. To turn the
Hmm.
immune system around, you can begin today, but you probably won't notice an actual overall effect for about 90 days or more. And
Yeah.
this would go to if people come to us and they're like, I'm allergic to pollen or cats. A lot of times it's like watermelons and kiwis, all kinds of bananas, whatever random sensitivity, what digestive sensitivity caused by a digestive problem, or an environmental allergen caused by a weakened body, basically just a weakened immune system. And so the correction of that is everything that we talk about: avoiding all the bad foods, taking all the appropriate nutrients, boosting the antioxidants, which will be part of your protocol as well. And that's pretty much it. Promoting circulation on top of that's always a good idea, and we'll get to that. Next question: are you on any drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, any hardcore street drugs I need to know about?
No, but something I struggle with is smoking on vapes. It's kind of stupid, but yeah, kind of addicted to like nicotine. I don't know how to get off of that. That was another thing I was gonna ask you later, but that's it though.
Well, it's worth pausing on that for a second. I was a long-term smoker. You know, I started smoking cigarettes and weed when I was 10 years old,
Yeah.
and you know, I'm 30 now, and I still smoke weed. So I understand a lot of the psychology that's involved, and quitting smoking is part of the holistic health business. So I have been
And also,
around that.
getting herpes didn't help my nicotine addiction either.
Nope, for sure. The
Yeah.
stress involved and all that. And the vape, I have to say though, the vape is a very new thing. The vape, in our opinion, is a very, 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 very harmful thing.
Yeah.
It's equivalent to breathing in a deep fryer. And so I did the preface saying that I was a smoker, and it's because I don't promote smoking, but I also kind of defend it because I kind of have to, because there's a lot of people who have lived over 100 years old and smoked. There's people who have
Yeah.
smoked for over 100 years. The longest living woman on record, Jean Calment, the longest agreed woman on record, she
Yeah.
smoked until she was 117. She said after meals. I don't know exactly what that means, but I know that smoking can't be the contributor that it's said to be, especially when the cancers are so isolated in certain areas. And
Mm.
the biggest contributor, in our opinion, is going to be stir fry food, not just eating it, but cooking it, standing over it, breathing in the oxidized
Mm.
particles. Same with deep fryer. Working in a McDonald's, working in a KFC, working in any place with a deep fryer is going to contribute. These particles are going to be in the air. So vaping is putting them right in your mouth and inhaling them. And
Yeah.
so me saying I was a long-term smoker, I know that smoking isn't that bad. I knew superstar athletes, literally, I know professional athletes who smoked the entire time, right? Go listen to Michael Jordan interviews. He said, man, when I showed up to the Bulls, everybody was smoking during the
Oh my
timeouts,
God.
right? So how bad can it really be if you can still be an all-star athlete
Mm.
and right? When I got into this business, by the way, I got it because I got out of pain. I was born in pain. I was born with problems with birth defects, really,
Mm.
and pain for the rest of my life until I was almost 26. And I eliminated it, and I got into this, but I didn't quit smoking because of that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people thought it was odd. You're in the health business, and we're like, well, your body needs minerals, right?
Yeah. No.
Your body
True.
needs
Yeah.
minerals, and if you want to get down to the technicalities, this is relevant to your vaping, thinking about vaping, because you can capture the smoke from a cigarette, you can capture the smoke from a carton of cigarettes, but you can also just do the math on one cigarette, and it weighs almost nothing, right? Point zero
Yeah.
zero 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 nothing, and you can take the weight of one French fry, and you can assume that be generous, say 90% of the weight is free radical, oxidized free radicals,
Mm-hmm.
heterocyclic amines, just horrible, what we know is cancerous compounds, extremely aggressive oxidizing compounds. And the amount that one French fry weighs is the equivalent of several cartons of cigarettes, is the point. So when you're inhaling the vape, you can measure the vape, you can see it, you're sucking back the juice. That's literally going into your lungs, and those would be very, very serious oxidative compounds. And you're dealing with an immune problem. Remember why we take antioxidants?
Mm-hmm.
It's to combat the free radical damage. I don't know how long you've been following us, by the way. I think you literally just reached out
No,
to us.
I've been following you guys for like years.
So you've heard that then.
Yeah, I've seen all your videos and heard some of this. Not all of them, but I've seen a lot of them. So yeah.
Antioxidants combat free radical damage. If we are consuming too many free radicals, we can't really out-supplement that. We have some amazing antioxidant products, not just us, but the market has pretty phenomenal antioxidant products. We can get more antioxidants in our body than would be physically, humanly possible under any wild condition for under $2 or $3 a day. If you wanted to do them, I believe it would be right now. Actually, that product that we have, the strongest antioxidant product we have, is on 2 for 1. So I don't know how that math works out right now, but it's pretty freaking good deal. You can't buy that many blueberries. You can't eat that many blueberries. Kind of thing. This is why we do extracts and such. More compounds. So the vape is it's worse than smoking, was kind of my point. People come to us with smoking. I've seen people, all kinds of people. We work with working class people. They're smoking, they're drinking. We got to work with them, right? Switch the beer to a gluten-free beer. Switch to Bud Light or Corona, whatever. Like, I don't recommend beer, but if they're going to do it, switch to the gluten-free beer. I got my dad to switch to wine. He lost 40 pounds. Boom. Simple changes. Vaping, going to be way worse for you than smoking. Not recommending smoking, but that's the perspective. And I mean, astronomically worse. So that's my opinion.
It's just been very hard to quit. I don't know why.
It's because it's extremely addictive.
Yeah.
It's because cigarettes are extremely addictive as well. Nicotine is just highly, highly addictive. People want to give, by the way, for vaping or smoking, it doesn't matter. It's the same psychology. I do recommend the Alan Carr method. It's called the easy way to quit smoking. He's also translated that into drinking as well. But I believe that psychology can transmit onto any addiction that is harmful, that is being done against your will. And that's the key of this. In the health business, there's not that much that actually is successful to breaking addiction. They all have pretty poor success rates. 12-step, I know some people, great friends, great people, had tremendous results with 12-step, but they have a huge failure rate, right? So same with hypnosis, same with minerals, man. Dr. Wallach will talk about minerals. He'll say, every time you want a cigarette, just have some minerals. I'm saying, as a 20-year smoker, that's not correct. It's not correct. There's more to it. Just fixing your body, it will help. It'll reduce some of the stress on you, right? You're talking about, you mentioned earlier that the trigger of the diagnosis, this is common, by the way, the trigger of a diagnosis creates stress that causes you to damage the body more, right?
It really worsened it. I wasn't even that into vaping until it happened, actually.
This is not uncommon. You get a diabetes diagnosis and go to Dairy Queen right after, right? Yeah. This is psychology. This is human psychology. So causes more stress. We have to relax to heal. We have to have confidence and faith in what we're doing to engage in the healing process. If we are stressed and we're using these horrible coping mechanisms, which are terrible coping mechanisms, by the way, cigarettes, again, it's not a coping mechanism. Us making up the excuse about why we smoke or vape or whatever is the coping mechanism.
Yeah, literally.
The nicotine is the addiction. That's the period on it. That once we can no longer make the excuse for ourselves, it's over. The addiction can actually be broken once it's recognized for what it is. And it's the most successful program that I know. And it's purely psychological.
So it's Alan what?
Alan Carr, Carr.
Okay.
It costs the price of a book. I'm sure there's material online about it, but it's worth the book. And I would get off the vape. Just get off it, break it, just like you would with cigarettes. Read the book.
Yeah, okay.
Do you avoid any foods?
I was for a good amount of time avoiding gluten. But then I gave in. But I'm gonna start doing it again, like for real, because I have like these competitions I would do, and like I'm really strict with my diet, so I know I can do it. But I was gonna buy all these supplements and just make sure I don't eat gluten again. But yeah, I didn't really avoid any foods necessarily.
So that is a good idea. The gluten's going to be the big one, getting in the way of nutrient absorption, just screwing up the body in general.
Yeah.
When you damage the organ that absorbs the nutrients, you're in for big trouble. It's so common that one of the biggest things that helps people is getting them off gluten right away. And we hear that a lot and so, by the way, I've just inserted a sentence into our um, kind of preset answers to people, like here's your foods, here's the salt flush, here's the whatever, it's all divvied out already. I had to add in that we've made a food account now. It's called @Notus Foods, spelled not us foods, and we've created that to try and teach people how to cook without it and live without it. We run multiple accounts, so we don't post aggressively on every single account, but already there's 30 something videos. There's enough material there alone and the YouTube page corresponding to it to give you the basics, and you'll see many repetitive things. You see us using the same sort of ingredients often in almost every meal. I'm talking about like onion and garlic and stuff, and you'll pick up the little tricks that make it easier. But also, we invite you to establish the relationship with us so we can help you do that. We've all transitioned out of a junk food lifestyle to following these food guidelines, and what that means is avoiding gluten, avoiding oil, especially cooking oil, preservative oil in products, salad dressings,
even
margarines,
olive oil.
Even olive oil.
Okay.
Unless you press it yourself. This is what we say to lighten it up for people. If you press it yourself, cold, and you don't heat it, and you consume it quickly, you'll get a tremendous benefit from it, and you'll get the taste of olive oil. But you can cook with olives, you can cook with coconuts, you can cook with milk, the milks of a lot of these things. You can cook with, you can get the flavor of these things if you want them without getting the oil. Oil we just don't want people playing around with it. There's so many healing benefits to oils, cod liver oil and coconut oil. And believe me, we get a lot of people say, this relieved me of my pain. I'm a big follower of Dr. Weston A. Price with nutrition and physical degeneration. And he was big on the cod liver oil for its healing properties. And it does have these, but it also gives free radical damage. And that's just it. We just don't want you to play with fire. You don't need to. You can live without it. The Notus page, food page, the reason that's important is because my best friend, my housemate, he's taken on the responsibility with me of making food content and being accountable to that inbox as well. And we have busy inboxes. The Wallach Warrior inbox is full all the time. A lot of people think they can come to me directly and get a better answer, but it'll take me days to answer because there's a big stack of them now because I don't have help on my personal inbox. I have a cell phone tower account that's jammed up all the time. People sending me all kinds of stuff and cell phone towers and conspiracy theories and whatever. And now we have the Notus food page that, my friend's not getting paid for this necessarily. He's asking me how am I going to be compensated for this? So we're going to have to fit that into our personal internal compensation plan. I'm saying this because we're here to guide you with the food, because that's the biggest part of the lifestyle that people struggle with. Many times even people know what nutrients they need and they're putting it off until they feel either psychologically or physically ready to do the food component. Now, my years in the gym told me that you're better off just not procrastinating. If someone's like, oh, I'm going to wait till I quit smoking to start going to the gym, I would say, don't worry, bro. Half of us smoke, right? That's like, come in and train, right? It's not going to hurt you to train, even though you are smoking, even if you go eat a bag of Doritos. We're not recommending these things, but a lot of people need to slide out of some things, and doing one good thing is always a good thing. Is kind of what I'm saying. Like, if people are like, well, I should go gluten-free before I absorb all my supplements, or it's a waste of money. It's not a waste of money. It's not a waste of money to dump in an overload of nutrients that your body can't even handle, because your body's going to take what it needs. It's going to take what it can. And so even if your urine is neon, you got some vitamins in it that you didn't absorb, there's such high doses in there that we're expecting you got some. And we're expecting the absorption to go up over time pretty much no matter what, right? Even without following the food protocols. I say this because I know a lot of regular human beings who don't follow the food protocols, take the supplements, and get a benefit. It doesn't mean they're in the most amazing, incredible shape of their life, but they don't have their osteoporosis or their whatever, their blood sugar problem, their weight issue that they were dealing with, or in your case, herpes. You might as well say that there's many of these viral things that the majority of the adult population in North America or in the Western world in general has. Majority, the huge majority. And the huge majority don't show any symptoms. They don't have any cold sores. They don't have any warts,
that's the weird part.
Right? And, well, to us, that's not really the weird part. It's because since the immune failure is the end result of all of these things happening, same with cancer, it means that you have to have all of these problems in place before you have that final result, right? Meaning the showing of symptoms of a viral infection from antibodies that you carry when the rest of the population doesn't. It means that if all you got to do is knock one of those pillars off just a little bit, and you're semi-screwed, right? So we don't know how many problems one person has. We assume they have a bunch. So that's why we hit digestion, number 1. We hit food, number 2. We hit nutrients, number 3. We might fill in any medicines if we need, but there are other things too. Obviously, there's sleep, and there's stress, and there's how you go to the bathroom. You could get really detailed if you're paying a practitioner to optimize your life. But we start with some basics, because once you knock those off, I'm talking about digestion, nutrient deficiencies, blood sugar problem, circulation problem. Only those 4 are the 4 that I focus on, and all of those are going to have something to do with your immune system. At the end of the day, if your immune system is screwed up, you have a circulation issue by default, because you wouldn't have an immune system if you didn't have a blood problem, if you didn't have a deficiency problem, and you will have a circulation problem as that result. So you got to target each one of these. And in the DM, I'd give you a blurb that says how to promote circulation on its own for free. This is aside from nutrition. This is a good idea for almost anybody, but you're pretty overweight, right? It's going to be partially nutritional. If you get off the gluten, that's going to be your biggest thing. You'll begin to lose weight from that, pretty much just from that. If you're not eating sugar too, processed sugar.
Do you not recommend rice either?
Oh, we eat a lot of rice.
Okay, rice is fine.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's like mainly what I eat that keeps me fat.
No, it's not. It's going to be the little bit of gluten, man. It's going to be the little bit of inflammation. And people think too, they often come to us and they say, I'm mostly gluten-free. And to us, like, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
it means nothing, because if you eat one cookie, if I eat one cookie, it's gonna hurt me tonight. Tomorrow I'm gonna feel it, but then it's gonna show up on my skin in a few days, right? It's gonna show up in the body somewhere over the next few days, possibly over the next couple of weeks. The inflammation, couple of week windows. So if you have one cookie every, just under 2 weeks, you're gonna have continuing inflammation, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
every 13 days, you eat one little piece of gluten, boom, inflammation. And it takes discipline to cut it out. So when people say I'm mostly gluten-free, again, we just no idea what that means. Is there croutons on the salad kind of thing? If there was croutons on the salad, did you hold the salad there and ask them to give you a new salad to make sure that they didn't just go back to the kitchen, knock off the croutons and give you the same salad back? Same salad that's full of crouton dust? This is serious if people are, especially if they're sensitive to that inflammation is going to get in the way of all of your progress. Everything else that we talk about with food, the digestion, obviously digestion, right? But you're not absorbing the cholesterol properly from the eggs, the omega properly from the fish, the vitamins properly from the supplements or from the food, right? Minerals, you kind of sneak by. Minerals, a lot of them can get through regardless of a digestive problem, as long as the stomach is acidic enough. But in general, the gluten is just gonna impact all the results. And for some people, it's not. Some people are more tolerant to it than others, right? Some people can drink 20 beers and be fine. Some people can drink 1 beer and they're done, right? Same idea. So
yeah,
we assume that we tell everybody to pretend they're a celiac. Rice is fine. I wouldn't eat quinoa, especially if you're going gluten-free. And by the way, I've never gone into this much detail on the Instagram, so it's a good thing that you called. And
yeah, that's why I wanted to call. Yeah,
get the full spiel, and it'll be recorded and everything, and you could listen to it again. And Dr. Wallach wouldn't go into this much detail on a radio call either, because
he only has one YouTube video on it, so that's
We do this with every person, by the way.
Yeah.
And it can be a lot of work, like, for real. I took yesterday off to go painting in the park, and I came back today. There's a bunch of old messages there. It took me a good couple hours to clear them out, and those are just ones that the people who helped me can't answer because they're more complicated. And I just happened to answer yours while I was on there. So we can continue on with this. Do you have any allergies? Anything that's anaphylactic you could require an EpiPen for?
No.
It's good. Any digestion, skin, or lung problems?
I had some. I used to have a lot of back acne. It's getting better now. I used to have a bunch of acne, like even like a year ago, but it's been clearing up. But I still get some acne. But I used to have I kind of still have a toenail fungus on my big toe.
Big one.
But it's kind of going away. But yeah, I could see all these problems building up, and it just freaked me out. And I'm only 20.
Any lung problems, asthma, trouble breathing, bronchitis?
No.
No digestion problems, constipation, diarrhea?
No.
Pain?
Not that no.
Any sleep problems?
Yeah, horrible insomnia. And oversleeping. I could sleep for 15 hours.
Same problem as insomnia. Same thing, actually, if you're classified as insomnia. It can be trouble going to sleep or trouble waking up, by the way. It can be classified as insomnia.
Okay.
Teeth grinding. Do you grind your teeth at night?
Yeah, I was kind of reading something on your page about that, and I'm like, I do always mess with my teeth.
Hmm.
Like I don't know what does that mean though, because I do that.
Let me ask the last question on this. These are grouped together, right? Digestion,
Okay,
skin, and
yeah.
lung. These are grouped together, and now sleep, teeth grinding, and night sweats are grouped together.
No, yeah, I don't have night sweats.
Okay. So often one of the others present. They're not always both present. If someone's got both of them, it's just like a bingo sort of thing. But we already got the bingo with the teeth grinding. Teeth grinding is caused by one thing only. It's a blood sugar problem. Blood sugar problems caused by many things. Number one is mineral deficiency. Remember earlier I mentioned that we eliminated blood sugar problems in the animal industries by adding 2 minerals to their feed. And that was only true because they got the rest of their nutrients and they weren't eating, cheeseburgers and Heineken, whatever, Doritos. So they're in a pretty controlled circumstance. That's why we tell humans we got to give all this information, because you have to actually make the lifestyle changes to do it. If a pig has a problem, we can inject the pig with the solution or take the problem away, take the problem food away or something like that. But they're actually very extremely uncommon to have those problems. The only problems we get is by crowding them together. Now you get health problems. So the teeth grinding, mineral deficiency at root, things like too much caffeine. Caffeine depletes your body of minerals. I love coffee. I get enough nutrients. So if I drink more coffee in a day, I take more nutrients in that day.
See, I used to take a lot of pre-workout if that's a factor, because I overdosed on pre-workout.
Well, that probably wouldn't help the back knee situation. I've seen a lot of guys deal with that. So I don't recommend pre-workout, by the way. It's just totally unnecessary, in my opinion. And often the products are trash. If you actually read the label, like the products are bad products. We don't make our living by bashing other products, but it's not a good product. It's not a good product spread, in my opinion. Maybe there's some good ones out there. I've probably even encountered them. I just totally dismiss them because I don't think pre-workout is necessary. So the teeth grinding.
You think specifically related to herpes? You think caffeine's a trigger?
Well, I think you've got an existing problem here. You've got definite nutrient deficiencies. The insomnia is the same nutrient deficiency as the testicle thing, by the way. And by the way, if you're born with something, that tells me you had it at birth. I was born with birth defects. That means I had that deficiency at birth. I also had the insomnia until I found the right products and no longer had the muscle spasms, no longer had the so-called Tourette syndrome, right? No longer had the pain and no longer had the insomnia and no longer had the receding testicle that I never mentioned, but it's worth mentioning today. A lot of these little things, because they're all in the same category of deficiency, and it's a multi-mineral spread, but it's mainly calcium and its cofactors. Yeah. That's factored in with our products. Our products are really heavily based on that one product combination itself. So teeth grinding, other things that can contribute to that. Too much food in general. Most people are just eating too much food. Like I said, you're sitting at 210. I know you're eating too much food. That's just how it is. Yeah. Right. So too much food loads up the system. Just in general, it's going to hinder absorption of all the foods. Just in general, even if they're good foods, too much good food. A lot of people are eating too much good food because they switched to the whole food diet, and there's not enough nutrients in it to support the digestion of these things. And one of the interesting things is salt. The junk food diet. If you're on a junk food diet, you're consuming salt, a lot of salt. There has to be salt to digest those products. They do that math first, and then they put sugar in it and other things to compensate for that, to mask the taste of the salt, etc. But when you're hooked on the junk food, you're hooked on the salt. It's the only way your body knows how to get the salt. A lot of people switch to the whole food diet, don't put anywhere near enough salt as they need. The human body should be consuming, it seems, optimal around a salt shaker per person per day. If you're cooking your food, whole food, and you're eating whole food, and you're cooking whole food, you're not eating anything processed that has any added salt into it, you need roughly a salt shaker per day. Just you, right? That's the extreme difference, and that's one of these things that can contribute to this. That contributes to dehydration, mineral loss. What does caffeine do? It contributes to dehydration. Alcohol contributes to dehydration. That's why it's bad. Dehydration means the loss of nutrients. It's not just the loss of water; it's loss of the salt, aka the electrolytes, the vitamins, the minerals that are loose, right? It speeds up the excretion of minerals, especially coffee. Coffee can do it by 300%. Again, it doesn't mean coffee is bad. It means taking coffee, washing down your supplements with coffee is kind of a dumb idea, is what that means, right? It doesn't mean that either are worthless. In fact, 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day seems to extend your lifetime statistically. So we can't even say that. Same with alcohol, by the way. As much as I don't like alcohol, 1 to 2.
What the heck, really?
1 to 2 servings a day seems to extend the lifespan statistically. And of course, the longest of populations generally, as a rule, do not shy away from alcoholic beverages except for the seventh day of Endis in Loma Linda, California. So, teeth grinding. Hope you've got that. Too much sugar, obviously, can contribute to that. Especially eating towards night is going to contribute to that as well. But fix the underlying deficiency, fix the underlying digestive problem, that leads to a lot of these deficiencies. But that blood sugar tooth problem, it's the same problem as type 2 diabetes. It's the same essential deficiency group, not just those nutrients, but there are many cofactors. This is why we talk about the 90 essential nutrients, by the way, if anybody ever gets lost in it, like says I need this, 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 and this. Well, we're talking about the 90 essential nutrients. We're just pulling out a few specific ones to reference to you. And those are the few that we would pull out and put into a product that would have a label on it like blood sugar support, right? That would just be boosting those two. And we do have those products. So the next question would be, are you pregnant or nursing? Obviously you're not. Do you know your blood type?
No, I actually don't.
That's just for my personal reference, by the way. I stopped commenting on that a while ago because it's too complicated. We already give people a lot of information. I don't want to hit them with blood type diet. And I don't want them thinking that researching that and doing the blood type diet is going to be their key to success. It might be, but it's more likely that it's telling you to avoid some key things that are really screwing you up anyways, like the glutens or whatever. And you can definitely play around with your blood type diet if you do know it's worth doing. I've done it. I like it. I like collecting that information, but we don't comment on it, just so you know. And this is my first recording, by the way, of I don't know what I would call this, a prospect call, a consultation call, something like that. So going into the necessary detail, hoping that if I fit more onto this podcast, I won't have to repeat myself as much. I can reference back to the earlier podcast. By the way, you mentioned the back knee. I should mention that I would point you to, on the Instagram, I would send you the video on the IGTV of the Wallach Warriors account of me in the car, and it's called Dirty Blood. And I just talk for like 10 minutes about dirty blood. And I would recommend watching that, understanding dirty blood a little bit more. It's going to have a lot to do with the back knee. It's going to have a lot to do with the overall problems that you have here. You did mention fungus, and I'm going to get to that, and I circled that. It's the most important thing you actually said to me. And that's the target that we would be looking for. When people ask, why do we ask all these questions? Why can't we just sell the 90 essential nutrients? Because we don't know what else is going on. You could have answered organs that your gallbladder is missing. Boom. We have to now add in information about that. You can't continue without that. It means that if that's not addressed, the rest of we're not expecting you to have progress with anything else. So same thing with the fungus. If we don't address the fungus, we're not going to make progress. That's the key. It's same with drugs. There could be drugs. You could say, I'm on a stomach acid lowering drug, or I'm on a statin drug. We're going to say, don't expect progress with us unless if you're on those drugs, right? There's no unless. We're not threatening here. We can't tell them what to do. We can't tell them not to take drugs. We can tell them that it's their decision whether they want to listen to their doctor or not. And we advise working with your doctor to lower doses of these things. But you can be aware whether there's side effects or not. In cases like statin drugs, there's not. Cases like stomach acid lowering drugs, it can take a little bit to adjust the stomach after that because you really screwed it up. But that's not information for you. So you don't know your blood type. Do you drink coffee? You said you do?
No, I mean, I kind of, for the last like 3 years I did, but the last couple months I've stopped. But yeah, pre-workout, basically, not necessarily coffee, but probably worse.
The main thing I'm looking for, but I added that question in recently. The main thing I'm looking for is whether they are running off coffee. There's some people that'll be like, oh yeah, I drink coffee all day. And like, if I didn't ask that, that's going to impede their progress on anything else that they do. They can go gluten-free, but they're still going to be on burnout, adrenal burnout, if they don't get off that coffee. Or
so I'm off the coffee, so you could just say no, I guess.
So the next question here that I recently added in, and I just wrote it down so I can talk about it. I've been asking people to show me pictures of their toenails or fingernails unpolished as an option if they want to show me. Because in real life, if you showed me your nails, it would tell me a lot about your internal environment. You said fungus. That means I would bet that there's dents on your fingernails or toenails.
Yeah, on my toenails. Well, actually, it's kind of like on both sides, kind of. Yeah, it's like there's like little there's like areas that are like under the nail has like stuff under it that's yellow, and it's like all like scratched and like bumpy. Yeah, I don't know.
So that's not a topical problem. People think it's a topical problem. It's not a topical problem. It's not living underneath the nail. It's living inside of the body. And by the time it gets to the outside, you have a serious infestation. So what we do, and I do hope you're taking notes on this, by the way. I haven't told you to do anything yet other than our general recommendations. And I would follow this up, by the way, and I will. I'll go inside and send you this stuff too. Like I'll send you the blurbs that we have that correspond to everything that I'm saying here. But on top of that, you should buy diatomaceous earth right away. Diatomaceous earth is very cheap. It's my favorite thing to put in the body to start clearing out the intestines and start killing minor parasites. Fungus is considered a minor parasite, in my opinion, even though the problem can be pernicious, and it took me a long time to get rid of mine, but it's not a life-threatening issue.
I was gonna say one thing about the diatomaceous earth. I took that one time, and I had the worst migraine of my life that night.
That can happen. It can happen with the salt flush as well. It's less likely with
It was
supplements,
insane.
but it can happen. And to me, it's a good sign, by the way.
But yeah, I just thought it was like I had so much toxins in me that I'm just getting like, I don't know what it was. It hurt so bad though. I must be full of toxic stuff or something.
That could have been it. You know, it's hard for me to really speculate too far. I do imagine the body releases all kinds of stuff when it just starts bulldozing out plaque, not all of it, but you know, through the intestine and through the colon and everything. And diatomaceous earth, man, it's done wonders. We've had people come back the next day and be like, "Yo, I lost 20 pounds yesterday." Like, for real. I believe it. You know, big people. Like, you can have 20 pounds or more sitting in your intestines right now, and it's not going to get out on the way that you're eating and whatever. And the diatomaceous earth just goes and bulldozes all that out. And once that's done, it will also attract parasites to it. It will. This makes it even more complicated, by the way. It's a good thing you're on the phone. But people can get overwhelmed. They're like, okay, so I need to take the essential nutrients. I need to avoid all these foods. Oh, but wait, if you have fungus, not only do you have to avoid the bad foods, sugar, 100%, get gone. 100%.
Okay.
No sugar, zero sugar. Doesn't mean fruits, but it doesn't mean go heavy on fruits. I've always loved dates and figs. I don't believe I've ever given them up willingly for any period of time. I did have the fungus, got rid of it. I've seen people get rid of candida while using fruits, but processed sugar, get rid of it. You're talking about rice. Okay, rice isn't bad. If you got candida, get rid of the rice. Go low or zero carb if possible.
What's candida?
Fungus and candida are very similar.
Okay.
Fungus is more of a mold. To me, it's all the same class. Mold, fungus, yeast. That's one class. Worms is going to be another class. Viruses is totally another class. And there are other weird parasites too. So fungus is more simple. Is you have to physically directly kill it, right? It's a little thing, little microbe, you got to kill it. They like hanging on in your body and sucking off your resources. But kill it with diatomaceous earth. Kill it with starvation. Some people, especially in the past, would have reported great results with starvation, starving the physical environment with fasting, starving the bacteria, the fungus, the mold, the candida, starving it of carbs, starving it of sugars. Just going inside now, I got roasted out there. Beautiful day out. Starving is one. You're going to hear us talk about things like colloidal silver. Colloidal silver, anybody can throw in there at any time. It will only support the body. Right? It can't. There's no side effects. There's only side benefits to colloidal silver. You don't need to buy ours. You can buy that generically. The strongest colloidal silver on the market, Dr. Glidden says, is Argentine 23. I believe ours is quite good as well, but since it's under the price point for free shipping, I don't really market it because it's really not convenient. I do have it in an immune pack. I put it in an immune pack because obviously it'd be critical for that. So I do recommend you get on silver anyways. You can find a generic one, or maybe in the products recommendation, I will recommend an immune pack. I don't know yet. I'm not there yet in my mind. We saw you have even a couple of questions left. So I might as well get that actually off the list. Do you drink any carbonated drinks?
Yeah.
That's going to contribute to it as well. I would cut those out completely. That's going to contribute heavily to the nutrient loss, stomach acid problems, digestive problems, sugar, obviously, unless it's sparkling water. But even then, it's zero benefit to it, I believe. And get rid of it. It would be, if you want to do this, if you want to kill the fungus, at least 90 days, I would be looking at taking diatomaceous earth every day, 3 times a day. For normal people, it's twice a day. I would do 3 times a day, 2 heaping tablespoons. So 2 heaping tablespoons each time, 3 times per day. That's 6 heaping tablespoons total. I don't care how much you weigh. That would be the dose. And
of the diatomaceous earth.
In water, you can put a bit of salt in it. Some people like putting the supplements in it because it gives it some flavor.
And how long do you do it for?
For 90 days. Or if you bought a 5-pound bag, which would be what I would recommend for someone your size, or actually anybody with the fungus, 5-pound bag will cover you. Diatomaceous earth is cheap everywhere. So 5 pounds is not expensive, especially for a 3-month product. That'll clear you out in any way. It's like an unstoppable kind of thing. And that's the cheapest thing that you can add right away. Fasting is obviously free. Fasting should be taken seriously if you have candida fungus. And by the way, we have products to kill these things. But if you're just taking a tincture to kill microbes, it's not going to be enough. Likely you're going to come back in 4 months and still have the problem, still have the fungus, still have the candida, still have the whatever. And same thing if you killed it electrically. There are frequency devices, by the way. Anybody can look into them. It's called a Clark zapper, and there are other versions that deliver pulse frequencies to you. You hold the paddles in your hands, it goes through your body and it kills worms and all kinds of parasites immediately. And obviously the body flushes them, so you can see the evidence of that immediately. I would like that to be better well known. I don't want to just say it every single time on the story and whatever, but it's worth actually having, in my opinion, just in case you pick things up. We're healthy, we pick things up. I go on the road, I pick things up. It happens. Could catch a virus, catch something in the food, whatever. It's good having that. Kill it right away with pulse frequency. But even if you do that and you don't correct your digestion, you don't correct your lifestyle, you're going to develop other digestive problems, other blood sugar problems, other whatever. And this creates the environment for another infection, if that makes sense. So it's great that you can kill them, but if you don't correct the bad environment that allowed bad bacteria to thrive, that allowed liver viruses to thrive, that allowed fungus and yeast and mold to thrive, then you're going to get those things back, right? They're welcome in that environment. So you need to correct that environment. Part of this is probiotics, boosting the probiotics as much as humanly possible, meaning I just told you to go low carb, right? Well, you can get fermented vegetables that have pretty much no carbs, like cabbage, these kind of things. You could be feasting on fermented vegetables that have no carbs and do a lot of your nutrition that way. That would have the double whammy of giving you the probiotics, satisfying your hunger. And they take a while to eat those things, by the way. A big bowl of sauerkraut doesn't cost very much, doesn't take very long to prepare.
Can I eat a lot of protein?
You can eat a lot of protein, but we recommend leaning more towards the fat. And the low calorie is the key. So you're training right now, I would expect you to lose a fair bit of weight, but you got to kill this fungus. And we started this off by saying, you couldn't have gotten to that weight without eating a lot, right? No matter what, even if you're lifting weight or something. Within that process, I didn't know about the fungus then. Within that process, that creates the environment for fungus to move in, right? So it's the low calories key to longevity. First of all, it's key to healing for a lot of things. Key to healing, but for getting the fungus out, it's the low calorie component. That's the number one.
What would be a low calorie meat with high fat?
Sorry, it's no fat? carb, not calorie. It's carb.
Oh, okay.
Overall, low calorie. I mean, you're just not looking at big portions of food, but your portions should decrease anyways. Your carb should be at 0. Your calories should be minimal, right? And when you train, you'll need to increase the calories. You can do that safely. You don't need to have fungus. It takes discipline. It means while you're growing, you got to be making sure that you're not eating breads and all that, whatever. You're taking your nutrients appropriate to your body weight, but also appropriate to your activity level, which means a little bit up. And you are taking more probiotics and stuff like this as you're growing, as you're eating more food, and making sure that your digestion is keeping up with that. Because once it falls behind, that's when nutrient absorption falls behind. That's when blood sugar problems come in. That's when circulation problems come in. That's when an end result of the genital herpes being visible shows up, right? Or fungus shows up. You're going to be encountering fungus all the time. Your body's going to be able to beat it down, just like we're going to be encountering pollen and cats all the time. Your body should be able to fight it off if it's up to par. So that's what all this stuff means in combination. So I would do diatomaceous earth first. I would add colloidal silver in anyways, because you've got multiple of these problems. These are immune problems. Colloidal silver is the magic substance just to go in there and help the immune system pretty much no matter what. It's your best friend with that. It's its only job in the body is to help us with pathogens and immunity. It's the strangest of the 90 essential nutrients because it has no metabolic role. All it has is a supportive role. There are herbs that we can recommend that would target this as well. No sugar, low carb, low calorie if possible.
Yeah, okay.
Fasting, and I mean intermittent fasting, sure, but
like a 20-hour fast or
I'd be aiming for 48 hours or more. I'd be getting yourself psychologically ready for 48 hours or more regularly.
And then what do you do after that 48 hours? Just eat that's the regular calorie amount, and then when do you cycle back onto the 48 hour again?
One of the benefits of fasting, especially 48-hour level fast and beyond, is that it dramatically reduces your hunger. It dramatically decreases the amount that you can eat, that you can physically eat. We almost complain about it a little bit. We eat one meal a day and we look forward to it, but we can't eat that much food. I'll get stomach pain if I eat too much food. And I mean, just a little, like, we don't eat that much is the point, and it's natural. When your body's getting its nutrients, it's high nutrient to calorie ratio is what we're looking for. So when you fast, you automatically increase your nutrient to calorie ratio because you're not taking in calories. It costs nutrients to burn calories, to process.
Can you still
calories.
work out on a 48-hour fast?
You can. People do. People do. There's a lot of these new age people. They're serious.
But also, wait, okay, so if you go on a 48-hour fast, do you do a day of eating and then another 48-hour fast?
You could if you wanted to do that. It would be pretty easy to, is kind of what I'm saying. Once you fast, you really, your desire for food goes way down. And after you break your fast, it's usually just a little bit of food and you're like, oh, wow, I'm done.
I'm saying, so basically, you do a 48-hour fast, you eat a meal, and then you go on a 48-hour fast again, basically.
Something like that kind of aggressive fasting schedule is probably the best thing that somebody could do with both of these problems too. A serious immune problem, right? Remember, this is exactly what we're doing. We're boosting the nutrient or antioxidant or whatever density value per calorie. You remove the calories, now you no longer have that pressure on the system, and now the ratio is all just going to benefit you. Your body turns all attention towards healing and rebuilding and dispensing toxins and whatever.
And are your energy levels good when you do a 48-hour fast?
If your energy levels go down, that is a blood sugar issue. If you just jump right into fasting, if you've never done it before, don't be intimidated if you get lightheaded or something like that. You don't have to continue. You can eat I love a few dates. By the way, just knock that out. Usually some salty water. A lot of people do dry fast, by the way, but these are things you got to work yourself into. I wasn't able to just fast right away. We all began intermittent fasting, eating once a day.
I've done that already. I just haven't done the hardcore 48-hour. I've done a 20-hour one.
The intermittent's pretty good. It can be a little bit hard to maintain if you're not getting the supplements. Seriously, it's just the cravings will drive you nuts. You're talking about vaping too. Like this is these kind of things are filling in this craving. What's the craving for? Nutrients usually, right? When animals do this, they chew on the barn, or they chew on each other's horns, or they eat bones, or whatever, rodents. And we're like, what's going on? They need a trace mineral salt block to knock that out. And so that's what we're doing with humans as well. So yeah, fasting it's great psychologically, it's great physically on its own sake, but for this, to starve the food source of the fungus will begin to recede just sort of automatically. You got the diatomaceous earth in there killing it, great. You got, notice these are different actions. The diatomaceous earth goes in, it's aggressively combating it. The colloidal silver goes in and aggressively supports your body in its own ability to kill things. If that makes sense. It's a different mechanism. Next would be any herbs which would act medicinally, which I could throw a product in there for you. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is to tell you that you should get the digestion pack to start. But honestly, since you have many problems, it would be better to start. Someone recently I did this with, we're used to promoting mega packs as our starting point, but we've adjusted a little bit for a couple of reasons. Number one, because people tend to go out and buy products anyways. So I'm like, okay, well, even if I understand the value proposition of a $500 or $800 or $1,500 pack, I have to offer something at what appears to be a more reasonable price range. In the end, you're going to pay the same amount to heal, roughly, if that makes sense, no matter what. Yeah. If you need X amount of products, you're going to have to get it some way. You know, if you're committing to 90 days, whether you buy it all at once or get 2 weeks at a time is up to you, but the price is what it is. So, and we're going to just recommend the proper doses. It's up to you whether you take them. We don't force you. But I recommended to him he start with a digestion pack and an immune pack. And at that price too, it gives me some wiggle room here in the US. I know I'll save some money. It means I know I can include a couple of extra products. And the immune pack right now, this is when I would send you the link on the Instagram too. The immune pack that I have has an antioxidant product in it that Dr. Glidden considers the strongest antioxidant product in the world. It's based on a muscadine grape seed. And our company, the Longevity Company, didn't make it. Actually, we acquired the company, Nature's Pearl, that does make it. They put up the money, or they got the funding somehow. I believe it was $30 million of research just on this one antioxidant. It's an incredibly strange and incredibly potent antioxidant produced by the muscadine grape. And I believe that's because it grows in warmer climates in America. Actually, most grapes grow in kind of a cooler climate, or they thrive where there's a high difference, I believe. I haven't taken any courses on this or anything. There's a high difference in temperature. But for some reason, when they're in a hotter temperature, they produce more of these protective compounds. Those compounds are there to protect themselves from all the pathogens that are now invited in the warmer, more tropical environment, if that makes sense. So that product's on 2-for-1 right now. So when I order you that pack, you automatically get 2 of those anyways. But with both of those, again, since you're in the US, what state are you in, by the way?
California.
California, 8% tax. So I can fit another product in there on top of it, probably two, quite honestly. And I can send you both those links. Those would be my best suggestion to start hitting all this at once. Most of those products are liquid, so they act very directly, whereas our normal products are powders. And this is why I kind of stepped away from the powders a little bit, because I realized how strong the absorption issue really, really is. So I try and start them with that digestion pack, which is liquid in capsules. The capsules are enzymes and probiotics, and the two liquid products, they're going to support the digestion. I'm not going to get into that.
How long do you think I would need to cycle those for? Is it just
30
depending?
days. 30 days.
Oh, 30 days, and then I can switch on to the powder?
Yeah, then you switch on to just the regular supplements that we take. And that gives me confidence that you're going to absorb much more of it, and you're going to get much more of that benefit. But also the digestion pack alone is going to start to really benefit this. The immune pack on its own would start to benefit this as well. And putting both of those together I might even make another thing, like a digestion immune pack sort of thing, because this is actually going to come up. It's going to be a good way to start for many people. And it's not the 90 essential nutrients. I have to emphasize that. It's not the 90 essential nutrients. It's a spread of products to support the digestion and the immune system without the 90 essential nutrients, because adding the 90 essential nutrients just now makes it a little bit cost prohibitive. I might be able to do that.
And it might go to waste, yeah.
Yeah, and just I know they're going to, like, the point is we're trying to get people to commit anyways, right? We're saying do this for the first 30 days, and then for the rest of the time after that, you're following a more or less normal path that we all do. We're going to recommend a liver detox at one point, at least 30 days into the 90 essential nutrients, probably more than that. And that's it. You do it like we do. Avoid the foods, A lot of people move on to spreading the message after that, trying to help their mom, trying to help whatever, and that's the road that we're on. So the only other questions that I have here that I would ask anybody is if they're C-sectioned.
Wait, what? If I was C-sectioned?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And it's usually more relevant for children, by the way. A lot of times someone comes to us with a child and they can't figure out what's wrong with that child. The C-section question is interesting to me, because if they say yes, I then ask, are your other children C-sectioned? Often, whether it's ADHD or autism or something, obesity, the other children were not C-sectioned and they don't have the problem. Interesting to me. So you're not C-sectioned and that's fine, but just to know, it cuts you off from your first batch of good bacteria.
I saw your video on the C-section thing, yeah.
So it's good to know for anybody. And one of the things, if you don't know that you needed to correct that from the start, that could explain why you've had a crummy childhood, basically. So then I would just ask if there's anything else that I need to know.
No, that's basically it.
Okay, so in real time, we've gone through the long process. This would be more like what I would have done in the consultation setting. When we do have a store. When I did work there, we still have it now. I just sat there and did this with people, and it can be a long process. But interestingly, I want to say this too, just on open record, that what we just did here isn't too much more than what we would do on Instagram. Give you the food list. First of all, I would comment on each one of these things. This only took longer because we answered the questions together. Our process is give you the questions, get out of the conversation, right? Give you the questions and get out, because I want you to answer them. We'll let you answer them, boom, and then we come back, because we don't have time for the watch you fill it all in kind of thing. And then just go through it. Comment on the relevant points. You had a few relevant points, and I took the opportunity to go into detail on vaping. I would have just sent you a sentence saying vaping is super bad. Yeah. And then these other things, but we're not really saying much extra. And you would have got the same basic answer on the Instagram. It's just better in more length. But some people just need to hear it, But I know it's so much information, and it's even more here. And this is kind of like, we try and streamline this by giving less information, but we still have to keep adding information to the protocol inevitably. And I think, again, recording it is going to be a huge benefit, because I had to hear a lot of these things 100 times. We used to take these food rules and paste them up around our kitchen. We used to tape them to the cupboards and to the fridge. All kinds of things. The bad foods, food combining, just whatever, learning all the rules. 90 essential nutrients was pasted on the wall so I could memorize them. I couldn't memorize them right now, but just like become super familiar with it so things aren't catching you off guard. What's taurine? I've never heard of taurine. You look stupid, right? But it's one of the 90 essential nutrients. So what I want to do for you right now before we go is that if we're doing this by the book, that's why I had this copy of Let's Play Doctor. Like, I know these answers, But Dr. Wallach's going to give you a different and more detailed answer in his book, Let's Play Doctors. It doesn't have every disease in it, but it's here. He covers it. So he says here, herpes simplex or cold sores is a virus that causes recurrent blisters and ulcers on the lips and on the genitals. So that's type 1 is on the lips and type 2 is on the genitals.
Yeah.
The disease never goes away completely. Once infected, always infected. So this is the mainstream thing. And by the way, Dr. Wallach has to kind of legally, he still has to talk legalese. So legally, this is true. You'll never get rid of the antibodies in your blood. There's no evidence that you'll ever get rid of the antibodies in your blood. In my opinion, there's no evidence that antibodies cause disease, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? We have all kinds of antibodies in our body, and then only some of us have a problem from it. And then my opinion is the problem is not from it. It's not from the antibodies. It's from the immune system.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
What's the immune system? It's a result of the overall nutritional environment, the overall toxic environment, and the overall food habits of the person. And it could be stress habits too, by the way. If you're just a crazy chronic stress person, your body's never going to be using food and nutrients properly. You're going to have all kinds of problems. So that's why we try and cover as much as possible within the lifestyle as well and make you comfortable. I was going to say too, with on the phone, there's a therapeutic value to just literally talking with somebody. And when you read books about how to act as a doctor, just I'm interested in the psychology of doctors. I've read a bunch of these books, and they tell you that a lot of these things you can just look at somebody and tell what's wrong with them for the most part. Like you can at least put them in a category. But you do these things. You do the blood pressure cuff. You check the reflexes, even though they walked in the door and the reflexes are fine if they can walk in the door. You do it to give them the ease of the therapeutic experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
This can help itself. And if there's anything to be communicated within the therapeutic experience here, is our confidence that by supporting the body through these processes of correcting the digestion, avoiding the bad foods, and giving the body the correct nutrients that it needs to work properly that we would give to animals, then the body's going to work properly. It's not going to have symptoms. So by the way, I didn't even mention all the bad foods because I'm used to just texting them out, but it's gluten.
No, I've seen your list. You've
seen it, but for the overall benefit, glutens, which is the wheat, barley, rye, and oats and quinoa. I throw quinoa onto that list. It's not on Dr. Wallach's list. It's on my list just because I've seen so many people go gluten-free and then go heavy on quinoa and get the same response from their body from quinoa. I don't like quinoa. I did like it, enjoy it, taste-wise or whatever. If you can enjoy quinoa, it's kind of bland. But I got used to it as a vegan and as a gluten-free person, but I didn't realize that it was doing me the same damage. So I throw that on there. I advise people look into what a celiac avoids and just pretend you're a celiac and get rid of all that. Oats and quinoa have a very similar protein complex to glutens. So again, probably going to cause the same reaction, probably going to cause the same damage in the intestine. If you're completely cool on it, fine. Do it. You want to find out, do an elimination diet or a food diary and include a pulse test within that. And you'll see how your body responds to gluten or any of these other things, quinoa. So the oils, deep fried food, they're in the same category for the same reason we talked about them a little bit. Processed meats, that means with nitrates and nitrites, you have to read the label, see if it has nitrates and nitrites. I don't care if it's a fancy meat. This could be a $30 package of deli meats here. It doesn't matter if it says nitrates, nitrites. Again, I don't care if it's a cultural dish. It says nitrates, nitrites. Don't eat it. Well done red meat or burnt red meat, any burnt animal fat, anything burned, anything charred, anything black. Doesn't matter whether it's animal or not. That's all same reason, free radical damage, essentially. Dr. Glidden would throw corn and soy on the list. We don't bother so much. We tell you to avoid non-organic corn and soy, and I really wouldn't recommend soy generally. But if you're at sushi or something, if they have a gluten-free soy sauce, ask for gluten-free soy sauce. Even cheap Chinese one in America should have it now. They're pretty up to date on it. Few people ask, they go and grab one, keep it in back. If you use that, then with a little bit of sushi, that's not going to kill you. But when you start replacing foods with soy-based foods that it becomes a problem. That's a good reason to keep it on the list, especially if it is GMO, sprayed with pesticides. And carbonated drinks is on the list. Obviously, we talked about that for lowering stomach acid in general. It's just not going to do you favors in general, is the belief. And so it's not really 12 bad foods. I think quinoa makes it more, but you could go further if you want. But that's the basic outline, and that's exactly what we would send you in the blurb form, and we would send you something explaining good digestion and such. Of course, I would explain lymphatic system. Sorry, I didn't comment on that before. I would send you a blurb on the Instagram. It says how to promote your lymphatic circulation. You can do this multiple ways. You can do this for free with a swing set or a trampoline, a small trampoline. Maybe it's not free. You buy one for $60 or at a garage sale for $5. Jump up and down on that. if you have any circulation problem, it's more for the older people, especially older people who sit a lot, older people who've been bedridden, people who are getting ready to get their leg cut off from diabetes. You want to take it more and more and more seriously as your problem is more serious, and as you are more serious of getting rid of your circulation problem, even if it's just an acne problem. Jumping on the trampoline, using a rebounder, using a swing set, 20 to 40 minutes a day, believe it or not, it's going to do you a tremendous benefit on your overall lymphatic system. I didn't say running on treadmill. I didn't say lifting weights. I didn't say playing soccer. That's all going to circulate your blood, but it's not necessarily going to target your lymphatic system. It's the whoosh that's involved in the swing set and the trampoline. That whoosh is your lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is your sewer system. The blockages in the lymphatic system is the end result of the circulation problem, which is the end result of the blood sugar problem, which is the end result of the digestion/deficiency problem, if that makes sense. That's the full circle explanation of it. Other things you could do is you could buy a shaker machine or a chi machine. Those are two of my favorites at the low cost margin. I've seen chi machines as low as $50. I've seen shaker machines as low as $300. Both of them, their lifetime value. You could use them for circulation on their own. A chi machine is basically just a saddle for your legs that your legs sit in it, and it moves you back and forth in a consistent motion. So, and that does wonders itself. It's such a simple, cheap device. And the shaker machine, I loved having a shaker machine at the shop. I would stand on it for 20 to 40 minutes a day, and I would do some work on it while I was standing on it, read a book, do something, make use of the time. But I didn't have a circulation problem. I just sit a lot. So I need to take circulation exercises into account in my life because I don't want to develop a circulation problem, right? So I would have included that in there. You could use also a Dr. Ho machine or an equivalent, a knockoff equivalent. There's many, many things that you could do to improve circulation. This will have everything to do with, again, your other end result problems being the genital herpes and the fungus. So I want to finish reading the herpes definition here, and let's play doctor. So he said the best you can hope for is long-term remission. And that's the same with cancer, right? Nobody even says cured cancer. You're only in remission forever or not. You're in remission or you're not. And that's how we see it too. You're either moving towards health or you're moving towards disease. You're either promoting health or you're promoting disease. You're either promoting oxidation or antioxidation kind of thing, right? So absolutely, you can begin moving in the direction of remission, and you can stay in remission, and that's the only legal terminology that's available to us here, because you will carry those antibodies forever.
No, yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Herpes lesions itch at early stages and can be very painful and disfiguring. These viruses are transmitted by kissing and sexual contact. Avoid kissing and sexual activity when the lesions are active. Treatment includes ultraviolet light directly on the lesion for 1 to 6 minutes per day. Now, I don't generally recommend this because I don't like radiation, but if Dr. Wallach is recommending it here, it means it works. It means he's seen it work, or he's used it in treatment. I've seen many things, by the way. We talk about herpes. I didn't even mention, you could probably see on our account, every so often somebody comments and says, I didn't realize this was such a long call, by the way, so we're going to have to wrap this up pretty soon. I just saw the time on it. There's every now and then someone will comment and say, it's spam. They'll say, doctor, whatever, cure me of my herpes. And if you read them, there's a whole bunch of different herbal formulas in there too. I've heard that. I've heard people put coconut oil on. I've heard all kinds of things, hydrogen peroxide, you name it. I've heard results with warts, with any outward manifestation of a viral infection. Same with colloidal silver. And it doesn't mean that these are silver bullets for everyone. It just means as you go through this health world, you collect stories, and I've heard a lot of them when it comes to herpes. And a lot of them are topical, but these are medicinal compounds that can work topically because it can be absorbed through the skin, aka colloidal silver, aka the medicinal benefits of something like coconut oil, for instance. It is best used topically. So these also avoid high arginine foods, i.e. avoid chocolate, peanuts, nuts, seeds, and grains. So notice in our food recommendations, we didn't say anything about that. We didn't tell you to eat any nuts and grains and beans. I don't believe there's much value to them. If you were dealing with fungus, yeah, you don't need nuts, you don't need beans, you don't need lentils, you don't need rice, even though rice is my favorite carb, for sure. Like, I live with a chef. He usually gives me the options. Hey, bro, you want potatoes or rice today? 19 out of 20 days I say rice, but I don't have this problem. If I did, I know I would have to crank down my rice dramatically, maybe a little bit, maybe none at all. So peanuts, nuts, seeds, grains, high arginine foods. It says eat high lysine foods, i.e. meat, potatoes, milk, yeast, fish, chicken, beans, eggs. He did say beans. I include beans with nuts and seeds and stuff. I don't personally like beans very much. But
Yeah, me either.
if it's in the list here that you can have for that, I wouldn't recommend it for the fungus, which is the other problem. We're only looking at herpes here. We could look up fungus here. I'll give you another bunch of stuff. Vitamin C to bowel tolerance. That means as much as you can actually tolerate before your bowel loosens. It's an interesting prescription, right? How much vitamin C do you need? As much as you can handle is the actual answer.
Okay.
Bioflavonoids at 200 milligrams TID. TID means 3 times daily. Zinc at 75 milligrams TID. That's a lot. 75 milligrams is a lot. So something you should do here, on top of anything that we recommend, you're going to need more zinc. You can buy zinc in bulk, and zinc picolinate in bulk, generic. Doesn't need to be from a brand. You can capsule that yourself if you really want, but 75 milligrams, and if you're doing that for at least 90 days, that's a fair bit of zinc. So
Okay.
I would look for that generically. We do sell zinc, by the way. It wouldn't be cost effective for me as a salesperson to tell you that you need to buy our zinc. It's not true. You don't need to buy our zinc, but you need to get zinc. And if you had an unlimited budget, I say no problem, bro. We'll add zinc onto it. We were sold out of zinc for a long time since COVID started. We just got zinc back in anyway, so I'd cut it out of my speech and just told people to get generic. So now lysine at 1 to 6 grams a day to affect. These are 90 essential nutrients, by the way. These are all 90 essential nutrients. Vitamin C is a 90 essential nutrient. Flavonoids and bioflavonoids are a category. It's all called one vitamin. That's why there's 16 essential vitamins. One of them is flavonoids and bioflavonoids. So it's a whole group of
So it'll
weird
be
compounds.
in the pack?
Yes.
And the lysine too?
Yes.
Okay.
Ribavirin at 250 to 500 milligrams a day. Do not take during pregnancy. And isoprenosin. These are both drugs. These are both pharmaceutical drugs. And he has to say this because he's a doctor and he knows that these will actually work, right? And this will be the same with rheumatoid arthritis, by the way. Dr.
Do you
Wallach,
think I should take those or no?
well, this is what I would say for someone with rheumatoid arthritis, for instance. If you know that works, if it's going to kill the virus or whatever, but even what we said before with the frequencies, just because you kill it doesn't mean it's going to stay gone. Doesn't mean we've corrected the problem, right? So we want to correct the problem anyways, aside from that. And then often that alone is enough to kill whatever it is. For instance, with rheumatoid arthritis, Dr. Wallach is going to say, to make sure it's dead, you need to take minocycline. It's an antibiotic. It'll kill it. It'll kill the bug that's causing the rheumatoid component. We do have herbal antibiotics, herbal equivalent of antibiotics. Are they as effective? No. Do they work often? Yes, they do. So my recommendation is try the natural first.
Yeah, okay.
Same with our surgery. We say give us 90 days before you get surgery. It'd be the same with this. I wouldn't go for the drug until chances are you can do it without drugs, right?
How would I know when it's gone, though? Do I go get tested or do I just notice no breakouts?
You will notice it recede, yes.
So, because I'll still test positive for it, right? But or will I not?
You will have antibodies in your blood. Most people,
okay.
Most people, if they go get a test, they will test positive for it. The vast majority.
But the way I'll be able to tell is I never get breakouts, and then I'll know it's just like not there.
Yep, and as I said, you can't spread it unless you have it showing, anyways, right?
Yeah,
so it's not a worry. And by the way, these bloodborne things, even though it's very, very common for us to have these, it seems to be really not easy to transmit them, actually, which is kind of odd about it. So those are both drugs. They're in here for the record that they will work if all else fails. And he said the topical herb compressed with walnut. See, I hadn't even heard that one. Dr. Wallach heard that one. There's so many different things. I've heard a lot of different types of compresses used. So that's walnut compress topically. He said there are many commercial products available for the topical application. That's his note on this. So he added the drugs that will work. And I mentioned products. You notice I said it, but I didn't emphasize them when we were talking. I said we do have products. Those are the products that I was referring to. The products that would kill or that would attack the microbes that cause the rheumatoid, right? Or that would attack the microbes that cause candida or cause fungus. You know, it's the same principle as antibiotics, except we're doing it with herbs, which is just, they work different. So, and he doesn't actually have a section here on fungus, so I can't reference exactly what he would say. But
so do you just recommend just starting with the regular pack and not all the other things you just mentioned first?
Get diatomaceous earth no matter what.
Yeah, diatomaceous earth and zinc.
Yeah, I would get zinc no matter what. I would, if you get the immune pack and the digestion pack, there's colloidal silver in the immune pack. If you get only one pack, do the digestion pack first and then move up to the supplement pack after that. The immune pack contains a lot of nutrients in it too. right? So it's not the 90 essential nutrients, but there's a lot of them. There's a bottle of minerals in there, at least one, and probably double it. And there's selenium in there as well. And of course, colloidal silver. These are all essential nutrients. Selenium is manufactured with its cofactors, so copper and some others as well. So you're getting a dose of nutrients. You're just not getting.
Do you recommend I take like a really high dose?
No.
For my case?
No. A lot of people would think that you need really high doses, but your body's only going to take what it can handle. So there isn't much point in overloading it for the most part. And, you know, if someone's coming in, they're 400 pounds, like, nah, you don't. So people can literally be like, I'll take 3 times my dose. Like, nah, you don't need that. In fact, some people who fail to heal, they come to us and they're like, oh, I'm taking 3 times the dose of this product. I'm like, well, something else is wrong then, because it's not working. 3 times the dose isn't going to work. One time the dose should work. That's why the dose is there, right? So if you follow these protocols, the digestion pack just clears the digestive system. That's just going to be working on your digestive system. It's not dose dependent. You're taking the standard dose for 30 days, probably 32 days would be what it comes with. For the other 2 products, 32 ounces, 1 ounce per day. And then the immune pack would just go in and start supporting your body, start supporting this process with products that don't require digestion. And you are getting digestive aids already, so it will actually go to work. I think it's a great combination. And since there's room on the bill, so to speak, because I factor in shipping, I can fit extra products in there. And I'm already going to be boosting the antioxidants in that anyways, because it's 2 for 1. I can't even stop 2 of them from coming to you instead of 1.
Okay.
So that is everything I would have to say on this. I would just have sent you all this information and made sure that you wrote it down. And obviously you're familiar with this before. That's a crucial step too. People don't usually get to this point of a phone call, and especially not sit through this much information unless they already have reference. If you didn't hear us say a bunch of this stuff before, I would have bored the heck out of you. There's no way I would have talked for 76 minutes with a client just, you know, across the counter.
It was interesting to hear you reiterate on all of that. I've already seen it all, but it was interesting to hear you explain more detail.
And a lot of this would be done in my head, by the way, when we're answering the messages. I would be saying things that I wouldn't necessarily say to them. Like, I won't tell you why I need to know your country, but I need to know your country. You know, I'm not going to give you all that information. It becomes too much of a conversation. But you are here in a conversation setting, and we are recording this, so that's kind of why I wanted to do it. But do you have any other questions for me at this point?
Just the last, I just wanted to know more about the like what fasting do you recommend the 48-hour for me? Like, what should I do during this digestive pack that I get?
I do recommend playing with fasts heavily in your situation.
So how do I plan it out? So I do a 48-hour fast and then what? Just eat a meal? Like, I don't understand that timing.
You need to play it a little bit by ear, because like I said, you might even start your first 48 hours, be gung-ho, go 27 hours and be near fainting. And you need to correct that. So if you're on a blood sugar roller coaster, you might not just be able to go and fast right away. You might need to ease into it.
I've fasted before. I can do 20-hour fast. I know I can. So I was just wondering, like, what your schedule would be on your 40-hour fast.
If you can do 20, you can easily do 2 days. Easily do 2 days.
But so what do you do on yours? Like, you do the 2 days, and then you eat a meal, and then you just do another 2 days, and then you eat a meal, and then you do another 2 days, like that?
Yes, I have done that schedule, yes.
Just one meal, basically?
Yep. Maybe a little bit of snacking. You know, the intermittent allows you to eat for 8 hours, but you can't eat that much if you just fasted for 2 days. You can't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was basically my main question.
The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. The longer you go, like if you thought that there was just some mental barrier to going further, that there isn't. It gets easier as you do it.
Well, the only thing, I just got scared because, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna lose my gains or something stupid.
Well, it makes sense.
That was it.
On the fitness level, though, to me, honestly, I was huge before. Like 260 pounds on 100 on my frame right now. I was huge. I was a monster. There's not that much outright benefits to it other than being big. Everybody wanted to fight me for one. You know, it's hard going up the stairs with my 100-pound backpack on, kind of thing. You know, I could feel the pressure in my joints. I could feel my body breaking down, and I was young. And I see my friends breaking down, and they were young. You know, so I way prefer being the shape that I'm in right now, and absolutely no bragging about it at all. I do totally too much sitting, but I get a lot of compliments. You know, I'm a little bit thin, but like I think I look great. I fill out a t-shirt just fine. I could do a few shoulder raises and bump that up, but to me, being chiseled is just it's better. To me, it's more appealing.
No, yeah, that's what I want to be.
It's more functional. You know, it's more flexible, just better. And most of the big guys I know, like they suffered for being big. It's tough to maintain, and they're doing the shoulder surgery thing 10 years in. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go for the shredded. I'd look forward to that. You're sitting at 210. You could be a monster at 180, right? And
Yeah, that's what I'll
be
probably
lower
shoot
in
for.
weight, and you'll lean out naturally. Like I stay lean.
And so,
Easily.
okay, so 48-hour fast, lower rice, and then obviously that whole food list.
Yep.
Yeah, but I can there's a lot of vegetables, basically a lot of vegetables and
Yep.
just meat and maybe just no rice in general. Or should I have
Vegetables are your
rice?
great thing to lean on for sure.
Can I just have no rice, or would that be a bad idea?
It would be a good idea. This is only temporary because you're on a fungus diet. You're not on a regular diet, right?
Oh,
If
okay. So
you're on
just
a
for the
fungus
just for the month.
starvation diet, yeah, I would look at a first month. I would see if you can do it, right? See what you can replace it with. See if you can replace your craving with greens. You are going to be on nutrients, you know, but playing in with that, drinking tons of water, you know, putting salt in the water, just
Putting salt in the water?
yep, put salt in the water. It's part of the salt flush, what I would have sent you as well. I will send that.
How much salt do you put in like a gallon water jug?
See, it's weird doing this by voice because normally it's all in order. Boom, boom, boom. You get the salt flush right after. So the salt flush is 3 heaping tablespoons for an adult, 1 for a child. 3 heaping tablespoons in a glass of water. You're not expected to drink the whole thing.
Okay.
If you
Just
can drink the whole thing, it means you're critically deficient. Most people should be able to just take a sip and be like, "Whoa, that's way too salty." Take a few because it'll be weird regardless. It'll feel too salty kind of no matter what. But it should actually start to taste pretty incredible if you're low on salt. And the more you can drink, the lower you have been on salt. A lot of people just don't realize how low they've been, especially healthy people often. So we recommend doing that anyways. I will send that to you right after we get off the call. The instructions are 3 heaping tablespoons, and you just drink as much as you can. Basically, that's the instruction. When it becomes offensively salty, you stop and just use salt on your food after that appropriately. If you ever have stomach pain or something like that, especially while you're in transition, you'll know about the salt flush. It starts to teach your body about salt right away. It gives you a salt sensitivity, and you can use that. If you have stomach pain, you can actually you can get rid of it right away by giving it the salt. You know, you can just boom.
Okay.
So I believe that is everything. I do appreciate your time. I will send you the follow-up. If you don't have any other questions, like I said, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good day.
Where are you gonna put this podcast so I can listen to it again? Maybe
I will post it in the story, and I will send you the link as well. I've been posting them all to my page. The podcast is called Notus and Friends, and you can search that in podcast land. It is on Spotify, and I will post the link. I've been posting them on the YouTube channel. That's Wallach Warriors YouTube channel. That's information for people looking to spread the message. So this will be used as training material there.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, just message me in the DMs, and thank you for talking.
I will. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. You too.
Take care, man.